here and share with you. I promise her that I'm going to do something different based on my background. And so today the program is such that I'm going to do the opening first. Then I'm going to end. I already have two sets of slides, beginning and end. Hopefully, whatever they said in between will connect then to the declaration. I have no idea what the declaration is also. I'm just making a best guess what is in her head right now. Okay, glad to be involved in this with the Asia CXO Association. My name is James Ong. We have five other speakers. We have one that is just stepping in as part of it. So the topic was given to me called Trust, Talent, and Sovereignty. Keywords are building ASEAN's human advantage for the agentic AI era. Okay, so it's the work of started. So I founded an AI think tank called Artificial Intelligence International Institute 10 years ago. We advocate sustainable AI for humanity. I'm also an adjunct professor at SUTD. I work with different universities, also with the United Nations. Let me see. Oh, not working. To the restart, huh? Sorry. Yeah, so the way the format is that I'm going to speak, then each of the panel speakers will come in and speak and introduce themselves. Make it very tech talk-like, kind of format. Then we have a gathering on the panel, then we have a discussion, right? Oh, since you're working on the thing, I'm going to ask a question first. Okay, good. Okay, sorry. So this is me. I have 40 years in AI. I started in AI research lab in 1986 in the US. The lab was created by the US government. First CEO is the deputy CIA director. So it was the Japanese tech war, US tech war at the time. So I was a young scientist. So I started AI journey 40 years ago. I went through the AI winter, went to the last boom. Now I'm in the next boom, right? So I wrote two books. One is called AI for Humanity, which is in English. The Chinese version called 人本人工智能 was published last month. So I in the academia, also in the industry as a venture builder as well. So right now I'm focusing on my AI think tank, a private think tank, because I felt that Asia needs to have an AI think tank of own so that we have independent thinking of our own. So the AI for Humanity is something that I coined 8-10 years ago based on my research. So I'm involved in many other things. Of course, next week in Shanghai, there's a big event called the World AI Conference. I happen to be the international advisor for the last 6 years. Okay, I actually start with the history first, right? 1990, somebody wrote this article. Imagine you were born in 1900. You see what happened in the last generation of people has gone through, from the First World War to the Depression, to the Second World War, etc. Right? So you can imagine if you're born in 1990. Now, if you're born in 1985, right? Some of you maybe you never imagine. Can you imagine yourself going through that? I want to remind you of that. There's a reason I want to say that. It's not written by me, but this friend of mine, Alvin Wu, also Malaysian, I met in Shanghai as well. So imagine that. Oh, sorry, still can't click. Can't click. Next, I want to go to 1955. Why 1955? 1955 is the year AI was coined as a name by Professor John McCarthy. If you're in the AI field, you know John McCarthy, Marvin Minsky at Dartmouth, at MIT, at Harvard. They started coining it. They wrote a paper. All the 6-7 things they talk about are already happening now. At the time, they thought it's going to take a long, long time. It's really happening now. If you hear Geoffrey Hinton, Dennis Hassabis, Yoshio Benjo, who's the Turing Award winner, a Nobel Prize winner, what they talk about in the next 5 to 10 years, I have the feeling that a lot of things could really happen. That's why we need to be ready, especially in ASEAN as well, especially as part of the world. So 2016, don't remember that, right? Okay, that's the year that I was back to AI. I saw the return of deep learning, in 2011, 2012 with AlexNet, by Beifei ImageNet, right? Then this thing happened. The AlphaGo moment. AlphaGo moment actually raised my goosebump. Watching it the first time, AI defeat a human top expert in a very most complex game human ever invented. What is more amazing is this move 37. This move 37 is the deep AlphaGo, make a move that human in 1,000 years of playing Go never make this move before. This is called the emergent behavior. That means it shows even in the game you have some capability now. With the power today compared to 10 years ago, same guy Dennis Hasabi is doing it, and there are many, many more money, a lot of things will happen. So get ready for the surprise, right? 2023, Henry Kissinger, before he died, he warned us, you want to call attention to the danger of AI the same way he did for nuclear weapons since the Second World War. Henry is a smart guy, and Lee Kuan Yew have a lot of respect for him, right? A 99-year-old man was going to die. Why did he do that? Why did he write 2 books on AI? No other books. He didn't write geopolitics, he wrote 2 books on AI. So there are reasons for that. To me, he saw something that we need to be ready. So there's another story. There's this Nobel Prize winner, James Chadwick, who actually, so-called the guy who discovered neuron in 1932. In 1941, nuclear bomb was invented in 1945. In 1941, he said he saw that this is coming. Atomic bomb will happen. He could not sleep for 4 years. There's a little bit of feeling how I felt about AI today, personally, having been in the field for so long. And therefore, that's why I started my think tank. So this thing may happen, but we need to listen to the scientists, and then also with the policymaker, the commercial people need to get ready. So, United Nations Secretary General has said a few things that is very important. AI is advancing at a runaway speed and already transforming our world. The question is whether we will govern this transformation together and let it shape us. I know Dr. Aini loves this. She always talks to me for many years, every year. That's why I must come this time, right? We must ensure AI serves humanity, not the other way around. She always tells me that also. And I also believe in that. But that is not an easy thing because United Nations Secretary General works very hard, literally, every year. He's coming to Shanghai next week. I know for sure. And he also said the computing power, data, and the talent behind the most advanced system are concentrated in the hands of companies, in the hands of countries. When power imbalances are hardwired into the technology, inequality becomes part of the code. Every country must have a seat at the table when it comes to AI governance. That's why we have this session, these 2 days. We have to get our well organized in ASEAN so that we are on the table. Remember the speech by the Prime Minister of Canada during the Davos? I was there myself. He said, if you are not on the table, you'll be on the menu. We have to ourselves to be on the table for ASEAN in order to be not to be on the menu. Other people will decide future for us. I happen to believe that ASEAN is in the very best position right now in our history. We need to take advantage, but it takes leadership from Hong Xin, from Dr. Aini and the chairman to do all these things. I find this organization finally there is something of critical mass to do something together. So one of the concepts I talk about in my book is called the AI trap. If you look at this picture, what do you see? You see a human reflecting onto the shadow. Why? We always say we need to govern AI. AI must behave well. But you know that AI learn all the data from us? Are we good? If we are good, how can AI be good? So we need to watch our behavior, right? Just like you teach the children, do not shout. But you are shouting to the children. How will the children not shout? So if we are then get out of this cycle, we are trapped. We are forever dealing with AI that is not governable. So we need to look into a mirror of self so that we serve our humanity. So if we care about humanity, then AI will care about humanity. If we don't, we will not. AI will not, because it get all the data from us. Got it so far? So the AI trap is a very important conscious uniqueness to be realized so that you get out of the cycle. Otherwise, you go in circle. The dog will chasing the tail, right? So that is an important concept I mentioned in my book. Of course, when I mentioned that 10 years ago, people are thinking, Jay, you're talking about a crazy idea, right? But now I don't have to explain myself, right? So the topic today, trust, erosion of in AI, the rise of sovereignty AI. Thanks to Dr. Andy for coining this term and for this team. Again, yesterday at the United Nations Global Governance of AI, Global Dialogue on AI Governance, Secretary General mentioned that AI is developing faster than rules can keep up. I tell you the speed we are going, even we are very hardworking in ASEAN Secretariat, we're not going to be able to keep up. Human can't keep up. We have to find other way. They ask us to be looking into atrocity, mass atrocities, conflicts, military use. I purposely asked a question to our Deputy Secretary for that question. I'm really concerned about military use. I know that we don't deal with that in ACXOK, but it's going to come to us if we don't act on it. We need to voice out and do something. Last few days in the US, very interesting conversations happening. Palantir CEO Alex Karp started to have a partnership with NVIDIA. And he's raised many concerns about the big AI tech, the OpenAI and Anthropic. He said they are doing something wrong. The cost token is so high. And I was involved in some think tank conversation globally. That's one of the big concerns. You do not know when you use AI, how much does it cost? You can't control it. It's like the tab, and you use agent, it's even worse. OpenClaw already demonstrated that. And you're stealing your intelligence, your intellectual properties. For example, Figma was a partnership with Anthropic. After that, Anthropic released Claude design to take over their business. You're outsourcing your intelligence, you lose your intelligence, you lose your competitive advantage. So suddenly, the narrative has shifted in the US where Americans no longer just talk about, hey, we want national security, we also care about my business. Because America, one thing good, is a very capitalist country. They'll say it. And it was a big news on the CNBC and all the media I read internationally in China, all talking about analyzing why he's saying it. So there's a shift right now. It fits the theme of today's session. And the risk being exposed to this on the MIT risk, look at the other side. National security, many other things, right? So people have analyzed all the risks. This is high risk area, right? And yeah, if you want to have this chart, I can send to a community anytime. So I can see the risk we need to deal with it because it's very real. Right? And then very interestingly, the open source movement, you look at the two left-hand chart, right? The proprietary are leading, but the open source is closing the gap. I talk to usually about sustainable token, right? How to make sure that it's open source, it's cost effective, use green energy. So these are the trend right now. I foresee this happening in the next 2 to 3 years. So if you're into investment or commercial, be aware of this big trend right now. And of course, this is another chart to talk about the trend. People are trying to climb the very expensive proprietary AI, but the open source AI, people are moving over there right now, especially in GRM, that is actually getting the best open source model. And that is the basis for sovereignty AI anyway, because you can run on your hardware and you can have your data protection. So AI has many dilemmas, AI good and bad, AI ethics, superpower, AI weapons, autonomous weapon, of course, the AI take over human, broke AI. These are all things that have been discussed right now. These are a wide range of things. This is why I spend time looking through all of them, and hopefully ASEAN can play a role to protect ourselves, to gain from it, and also participate in the global movement. So, perspective of ASEAN. Interesting this session come. 2-3 years ago, I wrote a paper for the Singapore Computer Society on the ASEAN strategy. Because this is what the AI ethics and governance body of knowledge. This is Minister Josephine Teo wrote the opening to that. She talked about building a trusted AI ecosystem for Singapore and the region. Very coincidental. She wrote that. The paper is still there. And I wrote one of the paper called Why Sustainable AI is a Collective Responsibility as an ASEAN AI Strategy. I wrote that. I was thinking, oh, this day if I get to talk to ASEAN Secretariat, I can share that with them. I know nobody. So now I know somebody, right? And so there are many data I analyzed from the different report that was written on ASEAN. So in my book, I talk about we need to balance between technology, commercialization, and governance. Most of the time, people talk about policy, they do not cover the commercialization part. That's why I'm a venture builder. Money is a representation of human nature, right? So I structure it and break into like strategic goal for ASEAN, the governance, commercialization, and technology. The paper I can share with all of you anytime, right? So then I have a pyramid of how to execute on it based on the different tier. I'm very glad to see ASEAN CXO Association actually is the middle layer and also the bottom layer working with the government to handle the commercialization. But it can be very decentralized. But the top level, we need to have centralized some sort of governance. So that's how I structure it. And if you see carefully, they say align global AI governance. That's Dr. Aini and I always talk about. And that is one of the things I like to do in this community and contribute to that because I spend a lot of time with the AI, United Nations, and things like that. So AI is a crossroad right now. What AI should be allowed to do? And, well, we love AI, but who is willing to do the ethical guideline on AI? Who is willing to take on responsibility? So we're going to have 5 speakers, and then the panel to talk about trust, talent, sovereignty. I'm going to conclude, then I'm going to conclude based on the thing, based on the framework I have created for myself. I'm going to record down what they say because I don't know what they're going to talk about, right? So one of the things I like to think about before we get to my session later on, I want to make it very interactive. Once the panel, I open one question to you all. What is AI? Think about this question. What is AI? You have another half an hour, 45 minutes to think through. Then we're going to have a quick Q&A. We have discussed that later on. So as such, I'd like to invite my next speaker, Tek Kiong, Louis Tek Kiong. So you can switch the slide for this gentleman. Tek Kiong, you will introduce yourself? Yeah, come.
Okay, thank you very much, James. And firstly, let me express my appreciation to ASEAN CXO Association and also to Chair Madam Hong Xin and for the invitation to speak in this particular panel. I'm also very, very happy and grateful for the opportunity to meet my former boss, the Deputy Secretary General of Sabinda, and also my former colleague, Senior Director Yong Yung Lee, or Lee Yong Yung, who is here today. Perhaps I could firstly start by introducing as to what I've been doing since I left ASEAN Secretariat. I was the Assistant Director for Regional Market Integration for the ASEAN Economic Community, but concurrently also I had a role as the head of antitrust, consumer protection, and also intellectual property rights. I'm now the president of Global Council for Responsible AI for Singapore. It's not-for-profit incorporated in Washington, D.C., with a presence in 77 countries. Concurrently, I'm also the Vice President for the Asia Pacific International Commission for AI Safety. I'm also an advocate and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Singapore, and I've authored a book called Cybersecurity, Guardians of the Digital Frontier. And so therefore, the issue of trust resonates very strongly with my heart. And please allow me firstly to start with a question. What happens when AI stops answering and starts acting? It books flights, it moves money, and it signs off on decisions on our behalf. So that shift is already happening under the banner of agentic AI, and it changes what trust has to mean. So here's the uncomfortable part. Almost every agentic system running in this region today runs on borrowed trust So it's actually borrowed from a model provider, from a lab in another country, from a safety card nobody in this room has actually read. That's actually all quite fine until, of course, when something goes wrong. Then nobody can tell you why the agent did what it did or who's supposed to be answerable for it. So here's my position, and I'll say it plainly. Trust is not a constraint on agentic AI. It's ASEAN's license to deploy it. You get trust right, and adoption accelerates. You get it wrong, and every agentic deployment becomes a liability waiting to surface. So, ladies and gentlemen, and Your Excellency, let me break this into three things, starting with governance. Our existing AI ethics guidance in this region was written for systems that generate content, text, images, recommendations. It wasn't written for systems that act. Governance now has to catch up to autonomy, not just output. Second, verification. You cannot govern what you cannot audit. So if an agent takes an action, pays an invoice, cancels an order, approves a transaction, someone needs to be able to reconstruct why it did that after the fact. So verification isn't a nice to have. It's the evidence trail that makes accountability possible at all. So third is on accountability. When an autonomous agent acts on someone's behalf, the liability claim, the liability chain, developer, deployer, end user has to be clear before deployment, not to be discovered in a courtroom after the harm has already happened. So you put all these three items which I mentioned together, and they stop looking like paperwork. They becomes the license to operate, the thing that lets a bank, a government agency, or a small business actually deploy an agent with confidence instead of crossing their fingers. So here's my ask for this room. ASEAN needs a shared agentic AI trust framework. Four things, in short. A shared verification standard, so a system tested in one market is recognized across the globe. Then you need clear rules on liability allocation. And thirdly, a tiered approach based on risk. So a low stakes internal tool isn't regulated like a system that moves money. And finally, they have to be built together with industries and SMEs. So trust, infrastructure, scales adoption instead of pricing smaller players out. So before I end, let me say and assert that here's why this matters beyond my own pillar. Trust is what lets talent build boldly instead of guessing at the rules. And it's what lets sovereignty mean something real. Because a region that can't verify its own AI system hasn't built sovereignty. It borrowed someone else's. And finally, one line which I'd like to leave you with. Trust is not a constraint on agentic AI. And let me underscore, it is actually ASEAN's license to deploy it. So thank you. I'll now hand this session over to Ray. Over to you. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I did not prepare any slides because I wanted to be fluid. So I'm Ria Bomena. It might sound a bit Spanish, but I'm Filipino, and you can see in the outfit. And I've been doing AI since 2018, but then again, I started as a couple programmer and then leading to a coupled training. So I've been with Asia Pacific College, which is one of the institutions in the Philippines, which is a joint partnership of IBM Philippines and SM Foundation. If you've been to the Philippines, this is the mall, one of the biggest malls that you will see in Asia. We have SM Mall of Asia. So their training partner is actually Asia Pacific College. I've been there for 28 years. So I started my teaching career in 1998. But prior to that, I've been into sales, part of the assistant. And I was first trained here in Singapore for that. My stint in Asia Pacific College is actually very, should I say, dramatic because I started as a part-time faculty member, and then for some reason I was given permanent status for after 3 months, and then they gave me some trainings for about 2 years during the couple development, and that was a corporate training because at the time, 1998 to 2000, everyone would like to solve the Y2K problem. So that was the start of my training, and ever since I've been doing a lot of trainings, aside corporate trainings, that is, aside from being a dean of the School of Computing and IT. Now, the most interesting part is today's times because a lot of our training involves AI, and this was also because of a lot of needs of the conglomerate partners of SM and IBM as well for upskilling many of the industry partners in the Philippines. We've also had a lot of upskilling for public sector. The last time I was here was actually 2 years ago, a year ago, and we were in NUS. We had a lot of public sector training with the Civil Service Commission of the Philippines. So we needed to train many of the government agencies because one of the leaders of APC was actually part of the Private Sector Advisory Council of the Philippine President. And one of the trusts is actually upskilling. That's my day job. Night job, I belong to the Philippine CIO Association. My colleagues are here. Please say hi. Steve, and oh my gosh, my colleague, I forgot your name. I'm so sorry. Okay, so these are my colleagues from Thailand, 52-year-old, so pardon me. I'm also representing the Philippine CIO Association, which is pretty interesting because most of them are male, and we have quite a number of female also in the association. So I'm representing them as well. And I'm happy to be here in the CNCXO because the topic is close to my heart. Although I belong to the Women in Tech, and I was there yesterday, I am seeing the session. AI is actually close to my heart because this has been, aside from my domain, this has been a very challenging thing, especially in today's time. When James was asking about what is AI, my take would be if AI has to make you a better person. A lot of people would say, AI is a double-edged sword, which is true. Okay, the bad things and the good things about it, but it basically boils down to, okay, how do you use AI? I would prefer to look at it in a positive manner. So especially when we are in the industry and at the same time in education, which is my role, two different hats, you have to look at things positively. So always think about how AI could help. There are a lot of challenges in the Philippines, for instance. But then again, it's basically how it would make you a better person. It would basically lead you to how could it be your partner? How could it enhance the way that you do things? I just realized one thing though. I'm not sure if you guys noticed it. When AI help you make things faster, more things are given to your table. I don't know if you could relate that. So, but then again, it's better to have work than none at all. And that's the reason why AI is also very challenging. I'm into training. Aside from, as I said, aside from being education, I've been into training. And training is quite a challenge also in today's times. more so in the undergrad and professional courses. You could say because of the different in generation expectations, the way that you basically teach nowadays, it's totally different from yesterday. So if you don't have the right mindset, that's going to be a problem, which leads also to corporate training. Corporate training is also very difficult. Why? Because you are training different generations who are totally different in expectations. You have here the Gen Zs who would like things faster, who would prefer, I want money ASAP. Okay, I don't want to work, but then, I want to have more time for myself. But I can have AI on my side. And then he works for a company who says, okay, but we have to limit the use of AI at this point in time. Okay. And there are some people from the older generation, I wouldn't say if I belong to that. I mean, you can guess. I already gave a hint earlier, who are a bit choosy and picky with AI nowadays. And in certain instances, you would still be surprised that the AI that they believed in was the traditional AI, not even the current AI that we have now. And these are just simple, and I presume we will expound on it later on. These are just some of the challenges that we are experiencing, that I am experiencing, even if I am in the training sector. So I gave you my day job, I gave you my, let's say, after work job. After PCIOA, I go home, see my daughters, and we do a chit chat. What happened to you? What happened to the day's lives of a lot of us? So I have two daughters, and those two girls are my inspirations for everything that I do. So good afternoon. Let me have Tom, the next speaker. Do we stay here or do we go back? Okay, all right. I talk too much. I'm a professor, sorry.
Okay, and the next for represents the other colleagues. Thank you very much, Prof. James. I think I just met you, I think yesterday, right? And also I'm already very honored that Dr. Aini Susanna actually is my good friends. So since I think for the past 5 years, you know that it is a very interesting point because she helped me because my position is on how to make it this sustainable developments in terms of the ecosystems behind whatever we know that in terms of the hardware. Okay, I call it the hardware, because it's a technical. And another versions Dr. Aileen just gave to me since 5 years ago is exactly on how to put some policy decision-making system, especially when we come up with some of the orientation if you want to rope in the other stakeholders. So which means that it's actually introducing myself and also to all of you. My niche area exactly is working on the domain of the sustainability and the green growth that actually working towards the direction on the planetary health. I think you heard that kind of planetary health, but maybe some of you maybe thinks that it is actually only a mandates by the governments and exactly it is only for the certain people who are actually working on. But that exactly bring me to this kind of 2 days events. I saw that sustainability is everywhere. It means that when my position is actually when I started with my journey in terms of the sustainability since 2015, I've been actually given a task. The real one is actually, Fadil, can you give us what exactly the main direction, especially towards the ecosystem of the sustainability, and people can be embedded in their lifestyle. So that exactly the first task actually. And nowadays, we are being given AI in the era of people actually, whether you like it or not, is exactly happens. So how it actually embed towards to that particular sustainability. So we know that in ASEAN, we listen to our undersecretary right now and also mention the what the market sizes for the digital and also the economic growth. So I'm very lucky because I've been given a chance by one of the prominent opportunity Erasmus, the CVHE, actually to transform the ASEAN towards to one of the things they call it as a green job. So the green job exactly is actually penetrate in depth about the AI literacy. So because of, once we start the capacity building with all the ASEAN's members, we know that we notice there is some kind of limits and resources that need to be embedded for that kind of capacity building. So I'm sure that I would like to promote this kind of programs. We actually making another events for our colleagues from Vietnam. So soon in this October, we have this kind of colloquiums and also a symposium within the industry and also the government. So we bring in, we call it as a green job hub in ASEAN. So it is very lucky because it is right now is the best way for us to integrate. You know why? Because after this we are talking about the talents and also some of the humanity. So because I always mention that this in my lectures and also in my position as the sustainability, I said that whatever technology is coming in, you better need to equip the skill of humanity and humanizing that particular elements. Because if you just trust that kind of machines, like you trust or like you watch the movie of Terminator, if you go to the Terminator, they have a different version of it. And even if you go to DC comic, they have a Avengers, they have a multi-dimensional, right? So they have a kind of few dimensional that needs for you to take over what exactly if we are wrongly doing it in terms of what we're supposed to do. So the first hands in terms of the humanity aspect, of course, it backs towards to whether AI should be relied in terms of mastering the AI or we should steward the AI. So AI stewardship is actually what we are looking for. And this is what the agenda, I think, I do believe that in this event, we're supposed to promote and make it some policy action works because it's too many roadmaps in ASEAN, too many, master plans and blueprint, but this is the platform for us. The agenda is real. It's because I'm the engineer, so we need to do the practice as you can. So this is the elements I think I do believe not far away. It's actually within the timeline. So we do hope that this agenda will bring over all other parties, not only the industries as well as the institutions, but also the NGO. Don't forget because they're also it's a game changer for all of us. And there are some other people working very on ground. What exactly the necessity to equip this type of AI and also the sustainability. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, James. Since I'm the MC, I have the benefit use the mic. A lot easier this way. So, hi everyone. My name is Jaren. You may have seen me, the MC for today. I'm part of the founding member of the ASEAN CIO Association. My journey will race back to ASEAN CIO Association days when we were still based out of Thailand, Bangkok. Just early last year, we decided to, hey, why not let's evolve the community beyond just CIOs, beyond just chief information officers, because the community has been growing over more than 10 years. So we thought, why not we be inclusive to have the CXOs? So you have the CIOs, CPOs, CDOs, CAIO now, CFOs, etc. Right? So then the reason why we established the new entity here in Singapore is because Singapore governance structure, the governance of it allows all ASEAN nationalities to be on the board. So that also helped us to be, having a fair share of voice from every ASEAN nation. So thanks, Prof. James, for inviting me to share it for AI. That's something at heart. I came from a cybersecurity background. I did in NUS, and I went on to finance and a venture capital firm in Singapore, where we did investments in some of the unicorns in Southeast Asia, such as Carousel, Shopback, 99.co, SCAG that we acquired. And I realized there's something. All of these companies that have been part of the digital economy will now have possibly an existential crisis, right, with AI these days. Whether or not, someone, some guy or lady down the road, the streets, decided, hey, I want to do something similar. Why not I do another carousel, another eBay, etc. And that knowledge of coding, developing a solution is never a question with AI because it has been democratized. Everyone with a computer, with internet, can easily access the models. There are many open source models. If you ask me, I do have a bias. I do prefer the open source models for many reasons, which maybe we'll discuss in the panel. Also because it's on-prem and you keep it to a closed loop, right? So with ideas turning to reality no longer an issue. Everyone can create their own solution. But the key differentiation will be the distribution mode, whether or not you can take your ideas, your solutions to market, bring in the revenues, eventually convince investors as well to grow the company forward. So I think the capital space, capital flows, investment in Southeast Asia is growing. What we see in the Middle East, as mentioned by ESG earlier on this morning, is true. In fact, Asia and ASEAN in particular is really to capture this benefit from this whole geopolitical situation. Actually, we are the net winner, I would say. We're the one who is going to be able to drive positive change because first, many of our first, of course, we are the fourth largest market, right, in the world. Next, we have a very hungry and young workforce, right? More than 60% are under 35 years old. So they all have a drive, something innate because of one problem, employment. If you look at every single ASEAN country, inclusive of Singapore, right, employment is one of the main issues that governments are struggling with, especially the rise of AI. But because they are young, they have a long way ahead of them. How can they quickly upskill themselves, utilize the AI tools, the skills that they have to benefit commercial entities, not just being an employee. You could also become an entrepreneur. I think that's what the drive, from ASEAN Secretariat to all ASEAN countries to encourage their citizens to look at entrepreneurship, right? So we talk about entrepreneurship, intrapreneurship across Southeast Asia. I think one key thing is how can we use AI for that? So one thing that we started off in Singapore, we're trying to do more in the rest of the region. We had Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, the Philippines, I just came back from there, Vietnam, was to get the very young citizens. In Singapore, our youngest was 7 years old. To look at the problem. So turn them from citizens into problem solvers. They identify problems either in the community or maybe from their peers we pair them out with their family members. So they come together with their father or mother. That helps also us to govern, to ensure that their child is not prompting something else. That's very important. We don't want to be then sued for that. So also at the same time, we help to educate their parents too. Hey, AI is here. It's not going to go away. How can you best utilize it also at work, right? So we did that. The youngest is 7 years old, and they were able to create solutions in 3 hours, right? And of course, most of them we realized they like to create something fun. So they are not using a gamification. The whole thing about game theory, they use it, create a game to solve the problem, to spread awareness, to be advocacy, right? So that was one easy solution to start off with. So soon we realized, okay, so the whole idea was to turn them from AI consumers into AI builders or creators, right? So after a while, I was like, okay, we have all these case studies. I put together a book because I said, okay, you know what? Now you guys have created a solution, but are you going to get paid for it? So it's called Get Paid by Sunday. That's the book name. So now the kids read the book, they go through it, there's some exercises in it, easy to read. They go to their neighborhood to find problems, be it from a cafeteria, a retail shop, or even a clinic. They use AI to solve some of the small challenges. So these solutions may probably, the business owners may pay them $50 to $200 per solution, per use, per month. but that's sufficient because if you start building that confidence that, hey, you know what, I don't just consume AI, I created something with AI and I now have a commercial customer who is willing to pay money for it, right? Or the other way is that they just go to Fiverr.com, So they thought, oh, Fiverr.com, there are so many, people looking for certain services to use to create solutions for them to solve this problem. Easily from $5, as the name suggests, all the way to like $500, right? So we have really young ASEANers, I'll call that, using AI now to solve this problem and make a living. And hopefully that can be sustainable, become a career pathway. And to wrap it up, I think to answer Dr. James' question, what is AI to me? I see AI as a multiplier of human intent, right? Because if you look into the intelligence of it, it's just about pattern recognition and decision making under uncertainties, right? So let's together multiply AI for human intent as well as multiply it for humanity and to do good together with AI. Thank you.
We have Mr. Yes, you're 5 minutes.
Yes.
I think, Tisha,
Would
introduce
Would you
yourself.
like the mic?
Yes, maybe.
You was the last added speaker.
Good afternoon. I think, thank you, James. Also, our colleague from the UNESCO expert in our border. And thank Hong Sin, just put me into this AI with our college here. So you might be doubt why yesterday I'm still also in the digital deliverable city as well. Going back to what I'm doing, just the method that currently I'm doing on the just finished conducting the AI readiness assessment in Cambodia, and also a part of the working group in drafting the national AI strategy and give feedback in the ASEAN Digital Minister meeting in the different guidelines that have been introduced in the last couple of years. But recalling back, starting from the ASEAN Telecom and IT Minister, Simon Termin at that time, we work more focused on infrastructure. We start and then start over the top on IT, information and application software. Now we move to a little bit of AI. So come back to this. My background I have been showing so far. Come back to this. Why it come to this session today? We move a little bit further, starting from the prediction AI on to more generative AI, and now to the agentic AI. What would be the difference? I think the problem here is what the difference between those AI systems is the ability that they be able to act on our behalf. The automation. I think if you may recall on the UNESCO recommendation on the ethic of AI, but also the ASEAN Guide on the ethic of AI and governance, there is one major principle is the principle of human center and human oversight. There is a big question that we need to answer. What would be the proportion of human intervention in AI system? Human in the loop, human over the loop, or human out of the loop? That would be the question of the agentic AI now. So the question comes to the accountability question. What if the agentic AI cause any harm or make any action that need a responsibility? Who responsible? I give you one example in economics in trade. For example, there is an agentic AI embedding to a inventory management system. You limit certain amount of inventory, certain products. When those products go down in terms of the quantity, and they need to purchase, making a purchase order by having agentic AI to make a purchase. But what if the purchase have been made and have been delivered, but the payment have not been approved, for example, there are certain human intervention by the owner themselves. They say it's not, I do not accountable for that, for example, would be the question. So that is a problem that we are put in now. How are we going to solve? That's why I agree with our speaker earlier. AI is trained to be more a global product, borderless in the beginning. The product built in the US, used globally. The data flow cross border, respect from everything. So the government itself needs the own one country cannot govern by themselves. They need a form of a regional and global governance that they that is, I think the governance wide, I think there is should need a form of a regional governance, but it doesn't mean that there is a form of regulation as a region, but there should be a form of the standard that we can collectively doing in the end. So that I think would be my argument on the governance. To the last part of the talent. So for the talent, I think in all of the document, in all of digital transformation, in all of digital technology development, everything is built for the human, for the benefit of the human. Human are the one who created that. Human need to oversee that and responsible for the outcome itself. We cannot give personality to AI system. Legal personality cannot given to the AI system. That is a question from the legal point of view. Even it has agentic AI, but legal personality is not granted. So that is a question that we put into place. So I think human talent need to be trained, both from the development side, from researcher, from developer, but also the user themselves that need to be taken into account. So all of these three components, I would conclude in this. Maybe we can keep some time for further discussion. Thank you so much.
Can you
Thank you.
share the background with the speaker?
Now we'd like to invite all the panelists.
We need to go back.
Yeah.
Good, we just follow the pictures. Just follow. You were showing the loop that highlight your pictures. Thank you. Should be here. Take care here. Just follow the guy. Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. Okay, good. Actually, what I did is when they all speak, I start to write into my framework or what you talked about to test out my framework, right? So then we need a framework to put all these together. But there's also another framework we need to deal with, which is a trick laid down by Dr. Aini. To say trust, talent, and sovereignty, right? But there are still many things we have not talked about. And of course, I want to remind you, I still have the question asked you, what is AI, right? Some of them have answered, but not all of them. And you also have to answer that. Because since you're sitting here, you want to learn about AI and robotics, you need to answer that basic question. It's like, who am I? What is AI? In fact, most people never ask that question. Which we'll now come back to that when I kind of wrap up, right? Because I start to notice one thing, we have a lot of people who are doing talent development. We have governance people here too. We have more talent development. So the talent guy in the middle, right? And so this one here, I observe a pattern. Again, my human pattern, right? Again, I'm not sure am I right and wrong, right? So, but I want to start systematically from the framing actually created by Dr. Aini. There is the technology of agentic AI, then there is trust, and there's talent, and there's a sovereignty, right? So one by one. Then I'll talk about framework in a second. Okay, as I mentioned in my book also, before we talk about all this governance, we need to know what is the AI technology, right? And you have described, we have moved from different generation of technology from yesteryear's Gen AI and then large language model, now we're getting to agentic AI. And somebody are working on the world model, Ian LeCun, Li are working on it. Things are moving very quickly in terms of technology right now. So with agentic AI, I know that Keong has mentioned, I think he articulated very well. In fact, I'm very impressed by his share, right? Agentic AI really is about giving autonomy away, right? And you have addressed that. What has changed, right? Okay. What has really changed? And what does the talent side needs to change? Right? Because technology has changed, talent also has to be changed, right? Because I can't be teaching you COBOL. Yeah. I used to write COBOL. Yeah. Many years ago, I love writing COBOL and Fortran as well. But we cannot be teaching you how to move forward today, right? So what is your question to you is what has changed? I mean, seriously, with agentic AI, is just came on board, so powerful. What has really changed? What is the game changer then?
Well, thanks, James. I think that's the $1 million question, which if I get it right, I'll probably get the
$1 million prize, Nobel Prize.
Yeah, that's right. So agentic AI, as earlier mentioned, it actually allows the AI to be automated and then to carry out transactions all by itself without any human intervention directing it. So it's automatic. So what exactly has changed? Because it's able to do that, the first item that we really need to consider is the issue of liability. Where is liability going to land, right? So you have this agent going about doing all kinds of things, buying invoices but not approved, and then of course, maybe there's some negligent conduct in the carrying out of the activities on behalf of the company. So basically, what's going to happen here is that the courts and the law will have to determine how do you attribute liability to an agent when it acted outside of its authority, when it acted negligently, and when it acted fraudulently. Because without any machine identity, which is going to be attributed to the AI agent, you won't be able to identify who's going to be ultimately responsible. As I mentioned earlier, you have the deployer, you have the company, you have the employees, you have the manufacturers, and all that thing. But we can go back to basic law, which is basically principal and agent, right? So when it comes to principal and agent, the agent can carry out all kinds of activity, but it's attributed back to the principal again, then the principal can be liable. But if in the event, if the agent says acted outside of its authority, in law, as it stands today, the third party dealing with that agent, they are not concerned with whatever is happening inside the company. The company is still liable, even if they have not actually approved the agency and the authority for the agent dealing with that third party.
I'm going to keep it very simple for our audience. Do you think it can be governed?
Yes, I
Do
believe.
you guarantee that?
Yes, in fact, I don't think it's going to be a very difficult problem because when it comes to machine identity, there is a need, and I understand the technology is
I don't
already
think it's a problem.
I actually don't think it's a problem.
We have the right talent in ASEAN right now to tell the world we have a solution for agentic AI governance.
And the reason is quite simple, because you can actually develop machine identity which is attributed to the checkbox itself. And then at the same time, you can just adopt current law, not to be, the third party should not be concerned about the internal lack of governance.
I have a homework for you to do, to write a paper on this as part of the publication for Asia CXO Association, because he said he has a solution. Why don't we just make it a thought leadership and share the rest of the world, right? So that is an extra assignment, huh? Now, I want to jump to the government first. You're in the government, right? So you think, is it governable to the agentic AI revolutions? Of course, you have different countries and different stages of development, right? Yes or no?
It's a hard question. If I say yes, I need to buy a
That was my trick. Yeah.
No,
Seriously, do you think it can be governed at the government level? He's from the commercial level, right, in a sense.
I'm also from the government level as well.
Oh, you two are government. Oh my God. Oh, the government say can be governed. That's good. I'm very happy.
So I think we lean toward being able to govern.
Okay.
So I think govern here is not only to regulate on the application and usage side, but govern here meaning that we need to govern for a whole life cycle of agentic AI development and deployment.
Okay.
So that is a possibility that we
Okay. I think you two should collaborate to write the paper then. We have got an assignment, right? Done. Now, I want to go to Jared first. You do investment, right? Okay. Obviously, investing on next generation startup, right? It's going to be important, right? So maybe if they say can be governed, you may need the technology to go and govern them, right? So you have to fund a startup to actually to do that, right? Does it make sense? It's a rec tech of AI.
So definitely, if you ask government officials, they must say they can govern because that's what they're paid to do.
Oh,
Yeah, so if not, they're not doing their job, right? Which is good, which is why I think also governments have both commercial and both the people. So we're talking about the three Ps, right? The people, public, and private sectors coming together. In regards to finance or investments, actually, just last month, the Monetary Authority of Singapore (MAS) just released finance runtime, right? So SAFR in short, you can find it out. And it's really about a few things. One is agentic finance, agentic AI making purchases on behalf of individuals. So how do we then identify the agents, right? What kind of guardrails being mined, and what are the audit trails, audit logs? Who's allowed to access this data, right? So I think these are some ways that the government has put in place. You guys can read the paper to find out more. But a paper has to be, into commercial sense, be implemented.
Sure.
So in terms of investments, I would say funding the next AI companies, you will look at the West and the East in Asia, the investment part into AI is a bit more reserved. We don't put multi-millions and billions of dollars in AI because we know that investments have to see returns within the time frame. Do we get to see that within the time frame? If you look for a VC, typically on average 10-year cycle, some may be shorter, 7. Do we get to see that returns? And can we exceed our investments? In the US, it's easy because it's a 53 trillion market cap, of North American boss. What about Asia? The highest is only Japan, maybe 7 trillion, right? And how many Asian firms are listed on Japanese Tokyo Stock Exchange?
I want to have a related question. I'm going to link the conversation, right? There's a reason why I asked the question to you on the investment side, because I don't think we can do anything to make the governance work if we don't have the right commercialization business framework, right? The news is that we have 2 government guys who are very confident there is a solution. Therefore, that means in the blue ocean opportunity for a startup, because they should be the first customer also, right? They're willing to pay for it, right? That's how I see the logic, right? So that means your role and their role can talk to each other. After the paper is published, we go and fund an AI startup to do this problem. And ASEAN have a new startup to do that problem, right? That's interesting, right? Now, to do startup, you need talent, right? Correct. That's where I'm coming to you, right? You need talent, first of all, to support them to write the paper, right? You need the talent. You also need talent to execute on the governance, implementation, and operation. You also need the talent to develop the startup, or maybe also the talent for the investment, who understand this whole holistic work.
Actually, these days, there's so many companies come out with, I'm an AI native or something.
To
the point I get overwhelmed with the investment, I just created a digital twin called Jaren.ai. I think before you come to me, please pitch to my AI. And if response is good, then you can come and talk to me. So I have more time.
Good. He's using AI to do the support AI startup for AI governance in a sense, right? So you see these things all start to interconnect together, right? So assuming you can figure out the money, they figure out how to do it from the government policy down. At least we start with 2 countries, right? If Dr. Aini is only 2 countries, we have another 9 more to go, right? That's no problem. That is your problem, right?
We have 11 already.
We have 11 because that's how our community, the EXCO is all about, right?
Yeah.
So if we solve this problem, all things are linked together. Now, you two have you have been in education, you're a professor, right? So you need to think really hard, okay, how to support the talent. Now, I have a feeling that you should not be teaching, you teach COBOL, but you may have to teach sustainability, right? You may have to spend more effort to develop the talent, to fit all these things. And of course, this is where new jobs will be demanded anyway, right? You two have any comments on this talent side? I'm sure you're excited to tell me now.
Okay, let me start the ball rolling talent and then you follow. It's totally different in education nowadays, especially that we're talking about agentic AI, not even the simple AI. Because when you let the students understand what AI is and make them create something, it's not just creating something. You have to make them understand, okay, how do they reason out? What is the memory out of agentic AI? Those kind of important areas are very valuable for any student learning AI because it's a totally different. Now, the most important thing, aside from them learning the architecture, is the ethics behind it. How are you governing? How do you make sure that it is very ethical? So even in the bachelor's degree, you have to discuss to them what AI governance is, what are the different responsible AI principles, what are the AI ethics. And before you actually deal with business, because although all of them are very important, you have to go as far as even your governance in your own countries. How does it link with the different rules? How does it link with the different policies? How does it link with the policy of the school, for instance, if you're going to be creating something like this? And then the creativity. Sometimes creativity goes beyond the infrastructure of the school and the laws of the school. Now, how do you monitor that as a trainer and then ensuring that the students understand? Those are the things that are challenging within today's time.
I can see the passion in your eyes.
Oh, thank you so
Even
much.
when we talk about talent, teaching, you become really excited, right? Because I can see an educator in your mind. And I think you're right. And in fact, the reason I asked the question, what is AI, right? This United Nations University actually have a major event in November this year in Macau. Yes.
Okay.
The title of the topic is called AI for Education. How do you use it? And education for AI. Very interesting, right? So how do you develop the education for the AI so that we can empower what the policymaker, the investor, the implementer wants to do it, right? Sounds to me that you really have a game plan, right?
Well, I was trained to think 7 years ahead.
Good.
I have-
Dr. Aini have another assignment to go. You see, somebody write out the framework of education for AI, right? So you can start with your idea because you have to implement for your school anyway. In ASEAN, everybody could be the seed for creating something. Maybe from Philippines, from the Asia College, right? Asia Pacific College. You start with the curriculum. I can help you. I have a lot of ideas in this area because I'm working with the United Nations on it. I'm working on children education. I like to work with you because your school sounds to me has a lot of influence on the education sector. If you start the ball rolling, Singapore, Malaysia, Dr. Aini will talk to the right people. That's how the ball rolling in ASEAN. Start with one spot. Of course, thanks to this gentleman, started with the confidence that I know how to solve the problem, right? See, that's how leadership, right? Now, Professor Muhammad Hafadi, you are a professor, right? At Johor, going to be the lots of data center, right? Very sustainable. Mr. Yusli was there. What is your thought leadership on educating the next talent? But you can do more than talent. It could be nature building. Tell us about what you're thinking.
I think the best for us when it can reverse the time, the COVID-19 happenings.
Okay.
What happens to all the children, school children even? They cannot go anywhere and they have to do some online version, right? So everybody is actually being forced to be the online. That's exactly the time when we actually been forced to the transformation of digitalization. So once the tool is coming in, so people really excited, especially on the education sector, because at that time, all the educators need to equip themselves, whether they need to do the exam oriented or they need to do some other asynchronous or synchronous versions that exactly, people never knows about that things before. So once actually after, I think 2021, so this is a starting point. All the universities, especially the Malaysian university, we are being forced not only on the conventional, we have four pillars of the education. The first actually we just touched from since 20 years, means conventional physical appearance, right? So now we focus, can you do the blended learning? Or can you the flexible learning, something like that?
Reverse applied learning, right?
Yeah, something like that. So this that the students no longer student from the fresh school, whatever it is. It's exactly from the industry. So that times people need to be equipped the skill in terms of not only to the student but to the educator itself. They need to go for the training. So, the administrators they need to know how to use this kind of prompting, how to set the cameras and everything there. So this is exactly the learning positions, especially we having a kind of new competency. I call it as a reskilling and upskilling.
Are you doing that for UTM right now?
Yes,
Okay,
definitely.
good.
All universities.
All University of Malaysia.
Yeah.
Okay, then you also have a responsibility to work with Ria to work on this AI education for AI, right? If you work on that, you can get feedback from Isha, from Taekyong, from Jaren. Then they work on the policy side, right? You work on the investment possibility venture side. Then you work on the education. These two things will link together. That forms the first basis, right? So what I'm demonstrating to you is that I'm doing agentic AI on them. You see, I'm gonna, they are my agent to do all the work. Of course, behind me is Dr. Aini. I'm her agent to make things happen, right?
All the
Just-
agents.
exactly, these are all agents. But the thing is that agent, I want to make sure I follow Teck Kyung's framework. Make sure it's verification.
Yeah.
There is liability, right? Well, I wrote down everything. Don't worry. And I look at his slide. Liability, making sure that you have a different level of risk when we work together and all these things. So we follow the same framework, then we can bring. But the thing is, we are doing it in a collaborative manner because we need to harness everything in ASEAN to work together. This is just an example of how we collaborate through conversation and dialogue. I'm just doing the connecting the dots because that's how I imagine, and that's how I imagine things. I kind of bring the framework and look at your personality, what you're good at, what your humanity. I look at Ria, it's like her eyes like, whoa, I know education. I love that. Right?
Yeah.
Governance problem, easy. I can solve that. Then I say, I want to bring it to the United Nations, you tell them how easy it is, right? So that's how we develop way of thinking, right? So that's one thing, right? Okay. I know I have limited time. We have covered actually technology and talent all at the same time, unknowingly, right? My first AI agent in my mind was connecting the dot, problem solving, right? Now I want to talk about trust. Back to Teck Kyung, he actually said something that was very interesting to me about the ASEAN's license. If you have trust, you have ASEAN license, you have the trust, everything works, right? Oh, that's cool. See, I listen to you, huh? I spent time preparing the slide. I got the key point. We need to define the ASEAN license, right? Once you have ASEAN license, that is another initiative we have to work together. Again, uh, attribute to your the suggestion, right? So there's a concept called ASEAN's license, right? To build trust. I mean, you talk about trust, you talk about policy, so paperwork, just talk how to create the ASEAN license so that the Secretary General say that, okay, if you do this, I give you the license to not to kill, right? To execute. And I think that's an interesting idea. I take it away, right? So I think to do the trust, to build the license, you need all of us to work together. Do you agree?
Yeah, the reason why I raised that was because once you had a fundamental assumption of trust within that ecosystem, the digital ecosystem, then of course, whatever policy that ASEAN at their regional level were to implement, people will participate. It is like even long before you have agentic AI, we have the digital platform, e-commerce, right? And all of us go on board because we know we are not going to lose money, right? But there was a time going forward many years, we started going on board and a lot of people are actually losing a lot of money. So when the trust factor, if ever we reach a stage where we do not want to use that platform anymore because 90% or 60% of my time I make a transaction, I'll end up losing money. So this is what I meant by the trust factor, and which is something which ASEAN has at a regional level must actually collaborate and bring the countries together. Either, well, of course, you need the legislative governance framework and all that, but more importantly, also back to that question about machine identity, a unique machine identity for each of our agentic AI, which is, it have to be a real good, which is auditable with an audit trail all the way linking back to whoever that triggered off that machine to act in a certain way, so that you can attribute there'll be accountability, there'll be a party that's going to be responsible. But I'm not saying only one party. It could be a composite of many different parties. It could be
Sure.
a company.
I can share with you there are two entities, one in Washington, D.C., one is by Sir Berners-Lee, who invented the HTTPL. He actually working on something. I think there's something already there called Solid, basically. Again, we can leverage that. But the key thing is, I felt that the ASEAN license maybe could be considered into the DIFA. If you add this concept to the DIFA, we need this concept of an ASEAN license, well, it is about trust license. They are already working on the paperwork of getting agreement where the human talk to each other negotiating. Maybe something can work into there potentially. I have no idea how DIFA works, but you know well, right? Is it possible?
Yeah, if I can also just add one additional item. Yeah, it's like the digital privacy passport. once you determine certain data with a passport for it to get into the regional framework, you don't have to like comply with all the regional data protection framework for every country. Once you have that ASEAN data passport, which is recognized, then you can have that regional access and in terms of governance. So back to the ASEAN license. So that the ASEAN license, which I'm talking about, really, is also attributed again to machine identity. Machine identity, what I say is it's quite easy. It's like, you have 6 billion, 8 billion people around the world, and each of us have got a unique DNA, right? You had billions of machines, or rather cars have been produced. Every single car has got a unique serial number. So basically, that's the idea behind it. So every chatbot which you have, eventually, technologically wise, we are able to attribute a unique machine identity. Once you have that, that's why I am quite confident governance issue can be, and I don't think I need to write a paper.
No, I think that is part of the paper. Based on my agentic reasoning, since you're writing the paper, this concept, first of all, proposed by you, responsible by you. So you have to think about doing it because I'm serious. When I see a talented person mentioning something, we have to amplify it. That's all, right? I mean, you spend time preparing for it. I saw the presentation, I listened to it. This is my instinct. I'm pretty good at hearing something new. I feel that there's something novel. So we need to act upon it and work together. And we only have like half an hour, 1 hour talking to each other. So, okay, ASEAN's license is one of the concepts. Trust license is something we can think about and mobilize as part of the ACXOA, right, potentially. In fact, this is one of the outcomes from today's session. This is how new idea comes about. So I want to cover one more thing before I get to the floor, right? I want to manage time, then I want to wrap up for about, give me about 5 minutes, 7 minutes to wrap up. Then we go to Dr. Aini at 4 o'clock, right? This week. In fact, we started about 50 minutes late, right? So I need to catch up on the time. Yeah, so, okay, so I want to talk about sovereignty, right? Because this is a hot topic on the media in the last few weeks or last few days, literally. But I observe sovereignty, one thing, I know in ASEAN we talk about sovereignty locally, internally, about how do we build that infrastructure. But I think sovereignty, we need to listen to what's happening in the US, China, because they are the ones who build it. So that's something I my first advice, right? Listen to what happened. I mentioned the Palantir CEO come and talk about it. There's divide within the US right now about sovereignty. Now, we are talking about national sovereignty and regional. They are talking about company to company sovereignty. Because in the US, every country, every company have their own independence because they have the rights to exist with their own thing, right? Now, I mean, given the situation in the US right now and China with open source and things like that, debate in the US going on right now in the very public media, how can ASEAN take advantage of that to build a sovereignty? Can I start with you first?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not going to start with you first because yeah, it's very good. I'm going to start with you the last. I'll leave the hardest question to him, right? I'll start with Cambodia first, okay? What is Cambodia at the Prime Minister? Is he thinking about this problem or you are thinking about this problem?
Yes, from the policy side, we think about this. But I think we need to step back a little bit
Okay.
when we talk about sovereignty in AI.
What does it mean?
Now we always think about, okay, data sovereignty, you need to store data, you have data center in the country, the system development. But at the end of the day, I think from cybersecurity point of view, how can you ensure that the equipment that have been used, the computing power, the chip and everything is built by those companies not located in your sovereign. And then we cannot prove, we cannot argue that whether those data or those information not remit back to those companies.
So are you saying that when you talk about sovereignty, you're saying you're concerned that if you're using Anthropic,
Yeah, for example.
it's running on their model,
Yes.
which in the data center in the US, not here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also one thing, another thing is equipment, computing power, and the chip itself. Technology-wise, we don't know whether the sovereignty can exist. Those technology.
I mean, they can take away license for you to own.
Yes.
Okay. Or they can turn it off to a signal.
Yes.
Okay.
That is the thing that is hard for us to govern banks. That is a thing that is hard for us to address. From the small country or least developing country or the user country.
Sorry. I thought we are the expert from the nation as well. That's also has been discussed. That's why we have in AI, that is the principle of transparency. You know, the transparency that when in every AI system, we must have the evidence. The source of all those information have to be transparent. There is evidence and explainable. So whoever developed the AI system, they have please present it to. So that's why we talk about 70. So when we're talking, who's accountable for that? This transparency is a very crucial for AI.
Future, do you have in Cambodia, do you have a strategy right now in plan?
Currently, we are drafting the national AI strategy. Hopefully, it adopted in this second semester. We incorporate the assessment from the AI realm, but one of the components that we are trying to aim is maybe start with the first basic sovereignty infrastructure that
Okay, sure.
But ultimately, it's still hard for us to go.
You don't have a full solution because
Yeah.
the 5-layer cake by
Yes.
Anson Huang, right?
Yes, I think we go with the traditional sovereignty.
Does any one of you, not you except one, have any solution for
Okay,
sovereignty? Yeah.
Maybe I shall make it in another different perspective in terms of sovereignty.
Okay.
Because that pillar is actually giving me another perspective on the sustainability part. I mentioned about the planetary health, right? So the topics on the sovereignty actually need to emphasize in terms of data itself, infrastructure that we develop, hardware, knowledge, as well as don't forget that the main problems for the sovereignty is exactly the transparency that we just look into. Each of the country, they develop their own, for example, Johor have a data center. So each of the data center, how actually they've been transparent to, having a kind of demands on the energy, and on the water itself.
On what
The resources.
What resources, the
Yes.
energy?
Because this also connects. That's why I said that earlier on my first speech. I said that the planetary health. So whatever we discuss about the things, it must actually include inclusively in terms of this kind of sovereignty.
So we still have to make sure it's ESG ready.
Yes, correct. This is something.
So, okay. Do you have a solution? Any suggestion on sovereignty before I get to Tekion?
Okay, I know it's gonna be long with him, so.
No, I'm asking for a very simple answer from him.
Yeah, let me share that
He's
what
thinking very hard right now.
the Philippines is doing. We were able to create a national AI center. It was recently launched, and the colors are also the same as the ACXO. And the government is really very serious in putting sovereignty, especially in AI, in this region. That's why all these resources, all the people are being trained, all the resources are being placed, partnerships with industries there. So the one heading this is the Department of Science, and there are a lot of different projects as well. So that particular action plan have been there for like years, and it has been implemented only very recently. Even the data sharing is on the works, which is very important, especially with different government agencies. And the good thing about it is the industry is really supportive. So that's part of it. Now, for my personal experience with regard to dealing with different people, APC, for instance, has been dealing with American companies for like the longest time, AI companies to be exact. And then we also have dealings with Chinese agencies, and those two are two different worlds.
Different world, right?
Different worlds,
Exactly.
different worlds, and different planets as well. The universities.
The same planet.
But then again, this is the thing, and this is my personal perspective. Okay, from a personal perspective, based on the way that we have been dealing with them, I believe a CN has to have our own.
Okay.
It's why, because we can relate with each other better.
Yeah.
US, I have my families in the US as well, but the culture is very much different. The business way, the trust is different. ASEAN has to.
So, Jared, for sovereignty, yeah. Are you a Singaporean, by the way?
Yes,
Okay,
Singaporean,
good. You can share your perspective.
So just make a show of hands in the room. How many of you use like a chat function with AI, be it OpenAI, Gemini, or Claude?
Oh,
All of you, right? So keep your hands up. How many of you be willing to share what you ask and communicate with the AI to the person beside you?
no.
You need someone around you. So,
That's why I had to
so
left and right.
thankfully, in this group, we are very sharing. We want to learn from each
Yeah.
other, and that's the spirit. So let's hope more of ASEAN are like that, because it starts from within ourselves, right? In this world, as we mentioned, there's two speed. One is going to share everything, and other one don't want to share anything.
All the China is sharing all the open way, right?
Yes, that's right.
Open air will never because they are too expensive right now. The investor will not allow that.
Correct. So my approach or thoughts about this is that we should share in a need-to basis. For example, let's talk about healthcare, because healthcare everyone needs it, right? If you are ill in Singapore, you have maybe a particular follow-up or health checkup. Maybe you have a rheumatism or something. Maybe you have a particular situation or particular drug that you're consuming. If you maybe go to say Dubai and something happened to you, would you also share the data, and would you have the right data to share with the doctors there so that they can treat you equally and if not better? So this is one example, right? On a need-to basis where you know it's important for you and it's important for other parties, know enough of you.
Yet nothing happened.
Yeah, so that's something that I really think at least we should start from there. Soon after we have.
Now why I reserve actually is the last question. I frankly speaking, I felt we don't have a solution for sovereignty, even for a nation or an ASEAN. But magic.
Yeah.
So Tegang, you have 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I think look at it from the perspective of antitrust. When you have a business situation, you don't want any particular company to be dominating.
A lawyer talking,
Dominating any influence within the ecosystem, right? So there's authority to ensure that everybody have a level playing field. So likewise too, when you talk about AI sovereignty, you don't want a situation where certain countries or regional powers are controlling the way that AI is generating its final inputs or outputs to whoever that's using it. So you don't want a situation where those data is biased against the other countries whose data which they are not using. So likewise too, when you talk about AI sovereignty versus country sovereignty, you don't want a situation where the country in using the AI, they realize that their country's sovereignty is actually being put in a lower priority compared to, let's say, the sovereign interest of the country that produces the AI, and which is why I agree with what Ria is saying. We need to produce our own AI based on our own local customized data so that it can produce output which is very, very fair to us.
You say we should, right?
And it is already happening. I think there's already some project, even in Singapore, I understand is doing that. ASEAN, Malaysia has already introduced. Malaysia, we have it all in Bahasa. I think Vietnam definitely will be going into it, and if Malaysia is doing it, Indonesia is doing it, the Khmer languages. So I believe that AI sovereignty would not be too much of an issue because at the end of the day, it's a matter of technology and how we are going to control the data which the AI is going to learn from.
Today in this panel, I'm going to disagree with you to make it seriously. You think we are really there? Because to be fair, and you're talking about language sovereignty, I can understand. Do you think are we away from full sovereignty in terms of the energy, hardware, software, model, and language? Yes, I agree. Singapore is a sea lion. I'm challenging you because I'm not an easily convinced person, but I like the ASEAN licensing, by the way. I really like it. But do you think ASEAN has a solution? I'm not convinced yet.
Well, I believe that sovereignty, the reason why we have ASEAN and not the economic union, EU, is because we don't believe in a custom union. We want every country to retain their sovereignty. And that's the reason why we have an association of Southeast Asian nations. We come together, and that's why we had an ASEAN Secretariat. And our duties of those people who are there is we just identify the common ground in which we all can collaborate. So even be bound by it as well. So while retaining our sovereignty. So sovereignty to us is very important.
So my conclusion is that it means ASEAN for sovereignty AI should be a federated interoperating model. Is that correct? Am I getting it right?
Well,
everybody have their own, but you can interoperate.
Harmonize. In fact, interoperability has always been the core characteristic of how all the 10 and 11 countries operate in implementing their various sectoral interests.
Okay.
Because we don't have a unified legislative framework, unlike in the EU, they have their own parliament, they have their own enforcement.
Sure.
Here is
Okay.
yeah.
So-
Maybe I can add to that.
Okay.
Very important. We're not talking about country, national scheme now, country by country. Please remember ASEAN Master Plan 2030. So when we're talking about ASEAN Master Plan, that's not country by country. It's our 11 countries. So we are from the policy going to go for the practice. So remember yesterday the chairman mentioned to us, we're making about 230. How many percent increase? So we are the community.
Sure. We are inching towards that now.
Okay.
So as a AI agent for you, I'm reporting my status for governance of AI, agentic AI. I think we have the solution. I think we are 80% there. Of course, starting with the paper and things like that, right? But for sovereignty AI for ASEAN, I don't really have a complete solution yet, but remains to be discussed. We should have another round of session like that just to interesting, right? That's way to keep the conversation. Now,
I think to just your point earlier, you mentioned about whether are we ready in terms of infrastructure wise. One thing for data sovereignty to be possible will really be on energy.
Yeah.
And just in Singapore alone, because of what's happening in the Middle East, last month if you're a Singaporean household, increased by 30%. It fluctuates, it's not a fixed rate.
I understand.
So one example is maybe you should, instead of looking at just ASEAN data sovereignty or AI, you should look at the maybe ASEAN electricity grid, because there's always excess electricity that we could trade among each other.
Okay, sounds like an interesting investment thing. Okay, interesting. I'm actually have a secret conversation with you usually right now, something else. That one I can't tell you at the moment. Okay, until we have some. Okay. Now I want to open up to the floor. Do we really have the end exactly at 4? A little bit more is okay? Okay. Of course, I have the question I have for you. Do you guys have any question? Seriously? Challenge them. Yeah. Challenge us. Make sure we are, anybody have questions? Want to ask? Okay. No, at the moment, then I'll trigger my question. Anybody want to say something of what do you think is AI? I know it's a very basic question, and I do that for every talk I gave. Of course, when I'm finished, I'll go over to my slide. I'll show you some information that you may not know that might be useful to you all. What is AI? Anybody want to take a step? I've actually given masterclass. I have high school students give me amazing answer. AI native people, they give me an amazing answer. The young people, they give me an. I also have people who give me adult answer. They say machine learning. They tell me is a neural network, right? What is AI? Maybe it's a fundamental question because it's very abstract to all of us, right? It could be ChatGPT, it could be agentic AI. We thought AI was facial recognition many years ago. Then we thought AI is computer vision, right? Then we say AI is a large language model, Gen AI. Then we talk about AI is agentic AI. How come it keep changing? It's still called AI. And the governance are different, the complexity is higher, you need more computing power, you need better chips, right? Anybody want to give a step? Okay, good. I like that.
AI alien.
AI is AI alien.
Alien.
So you're talking about AI is a new species.
Yes.
Oh,
Especially we talk about the
not laughing.
actually, I'm talking about the super intelligence.
Of course, yeah.
Maybe another alien that we have to. What I mentioned about another alien, whether we like it or not, we have to working closely together, but become our partner.
Yeah, basically in China they use the word carbon-based. We are all carbon-based in the silicon-based species, right? And you probably hear the Geoffrey Hinton speech, right? Last year WAIC, he talked about how digital intelligence is going to replace biological intelligence, right? So these are real. I mean, they're talking about Nobel Prize scientists and Turing Award winners. There are only 2% in the human history who won a Nobel Prize and the Turing Award. Geoffrey Hinton is one of them. The other one is also an AI scientist, okay, from CMU. And this is actually serious. Otherwise, you won't be giving 50-minute speech at WIC. Globally, everybody record down. And so you're not far off. I think that is a very interesting perspective. Anybody else have any attempt? You can attempt as well.
Yeah, Dr. James, if I may just clarify, the more recent that upskilling and reskilling is very much needed nowadays because AI has been changing a lot. The ones that you have mentioned were actually the traditional AI, and these are things that automates that that you can just
Classical AI.
classical AI. But since AI can create now, so that's the reason why we have agents. But agentic AI is very much different, and it goes to the next level already. Agentic AI can reason out. When you were saying that we are agents and you are basically, putting us together, in the industry, it's actually called AI orchestration. So you orchestrate, and that's one position which is very much in the software development in today's times. Now, the thing is, we have to always upscale and rescale because there would be more things that AI are doing and people make AI do. But there's one thing that may change. Because nowadays, artificial intelligence is not just the meaning of AI. AI can also now be known as augmented AI. Oh, sorry, augmented intelligence.
Yes.
And that's the reason why when people talk about, AI plus or plus AI, they always mean human, okay, in the loop, out, whatever position the humans are, but the humans will be always there.
Okay.
And that's what augmented intelligence is. So the AI itself would really lead to something else.
Okay. I'm going to ask one more question, then we're going to thank our panel if there's no question. What is going to be next thing after agentic AI? So we're doing governance, right? Today, governance, you have to be ahead of the curve. There are labs in DeepMind, in OpenAI, Anthropic, in China, or the university are working on in the US. What's next? Because if you're talking about policy making, anybody want to try that? What is next?
So that's already the next.
This is next. What is that next? What is the next? Nobody know. Huh?
Quantum and autonomous.
Quantum. Okay, quantum. What else? This is a computing. Go ahead.
Autonomous.
One of the things I think AI is really about the multiplier of human intent. So if you have good intent or bad intent, it can be your best friend or your worst enemy.
Good. Do you think human has good intent? There's an AI trap here happening, right?
I think we're like 50 shades of grey.
Oh.
So
we're
we
not
don't
good
really
to
have
bad.
yeah.
So AI will be like that also, right?
Yes. So I think that it becomes governing maybe of human intent.
Do you think if all AI learn from TikTok, is it going to be a good AI?
Yeah, if I may just add to the what I think AI is versus human intelligence. If I, let's say, do a Venn diagram, right? And then the Venn diagram, the external circle is human intelligence. You know where I'm going to put AI inside? I'm going to put AI within the circle of human intelligence. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because what AI has achieved so far is it has created efficiency in, for example, the speed in calculations. It has created the ability to intersect with different multiple disciplinary kind of knowledge and all that. But this is not something that we could not have done if we had the time to do it. I mean, I can give you one good example. Like 35 years ago, when I did research using, Westlaw and LexisNexis, and they already consolidated all the data, journals, and reports around the world. And all I need to do is just key in the issues, and immediately all the so-called output will come out. But that doesn't mean I could not do it had I have access to the library. So it wasn't anything that was additionally over and above our IQ. It's what is actually happening. They've just expedited in which we are thinking and doing things. So in that sense, I don't think AI is actually something which is greater than us. We still have so many more levels of consciousness and IQ, which we are still exploring.
I think what you're saying is that AI intelligence is a subset of humans' intelligence, right? We may or may not agree with this, we really do not know. But obviously, I can tell you based on what I'm working with scholars in the US, in China, different places in Europe, consciousness, artificial consciousness is one of the areas people are looking at, literally. I'm actually looking into that as well. Exactly what it is, I do not know. I'm investigating. I'd like to know 5-10 years from now what it's going to be. As such, I want to first wrap up our panel before I go wrap up. Yes, go ahead.
All the panel.
Yes.
Because I have all those business, financial, and also the related topics. We have to look at this now. I like your question. Where are thinking I'm looking human beings, even though we have AI, but still when it comes to the look, go back to the human. Human is the opportunist. Am I right? We are opportunists. Whether it's bad or if there is opportunities, there is our intention to move on. But when we go to AI, is AI opportunity? Is AI another one? Opportunities also depends on the sex, because we are male and we are female. Is AI also have male and female? So that's my question. Very talking about the way forward.
Getting very philosophical now. Any quick answer?
I want to answer that. Okay. AI actually, when you say opportunity, it depends on what we do with AI.
Human is opportunity.
Yes.
So now you say that because one to make a difference, because just now, Pastor mentioned that the woman in the loop. So people are afraid that women are going to conquer us. For me, no, because we are human, looking at human. But in AI, is AI opportunities?
Yeah. Well, that's basically what I want to answer. It would depend on how you will train your AI to be. It
So
can
you train
be,
AI to be, right?
yes, because AI is intelligence and you train it. The secret of what AI would be, it depends on what and how you will train it to be.
Today, AI is trained by us
Yes.
and then trained from it, learning from the environment, right? But in the future, when I share with you later on, I'll tell you more. But yeah, go ahead.
There are times that the AI is trained by another AI.
Yes, there's also happened. There's all kind of things. Now I want to kind of wrap up for each of you to leave one wisdom quote.
No, she still has one question left.
We have one more question.
No. You have two questions, right?
Oh, just now asking whether the AI is because we're talking about what intention. Go to the human, we look into the sex. Yeah, because human, we have the male and female. Our intention is different. So based on our intention, we train the machine. We train the machine based on what is our intention. But do AI have the sex, male and female?
I think. So one of the things we talked amongst guys, especially developers, was if only we have an AI to teach us how to communicate better with women, because the male and women thinking is different. So I think for AI, they give us both answers from both perspectives, and that helps humanity at large. Because I think communication is key, and AI can see the perspective of both male and female.
In fact, AI is so powerful, it can be multiple personalities, multiple culture, because it's efficient in terms of that. We human doesn't have the capacity, but doesn't mean that we are not as intelligent. Like what? Yeah. So
Just one quick thing
Yes,
there.
go ahead.
AI is run by algorithm. So we are run by our genes. AI is algorithm. So there's really no gendering.
No gender.
Okay, good. By the way, all the big tech AI are hiring a lot of philosophers. Philosopher is the hottest job right now. My co-author, seriously, I'm not kidding. My co-author wasn't in AI. She finished writing a book with me, learned about AI. Now she went to Cambridge to study a master in AI ethics. Now she's going to be an AI philosopher. And these are questions are actually highly demanded right now. In fact, most of my time spent, I would say 50% on philosophy, some legal, some government policy, but technology, but this is going to be a thing. But I do say that it's unfair that we have this conversation because we need at least 2 hours for that next session, right? The philosophy of AI. And I love that discussion because these are very meaningful things. But again, I want you to have a philosophical moment. I want you to have a quote. Just a simple quote for our audience to take away from today's. Whoever is ready, you can start. Anybody have use your human instinct, intuition. What is the one thing you want to say to the audience? How you feel about today's?
I think for me would be from using AI agents to ourselves becoming agents of change, agents for positive, sustainable impact, right? I think that's the key thing because as all we know, as of now, AI is learning from us. So with our good intentions, our willingness to make a world a better place for humanity, then we will have AI being our best friends.
You need to read my book.
AI for humanity, yes, right.
Now, remember what you just say, I want you to send to me on WhatsApp what you just said, right? A quote. Anybody who wants to give a quote?
Yes.
Human
Yeah.
Better intuition and execution. You notice that?
I just wanted to make AI ready, an acronym ready. R is for responsible AI. That's very much important. E, education. A, adoption. D, digital infrastructure. It's very important.
Why?
And Y, which is very important to me, youth and workforce development.
Wow, very good. Give it a hand applause. That's not easy, huh? Anybody want to try? Among three of you who are ready? It's a competition here.
It's not competition, I think compliance.
Compliance.
Okay, anyway, I think for us, after being seen and heard so many things, philosophies, and also the practice in terms of this AI, we have to believe that it is organic and inorganic. So human always organics. We actually learn something organically. So means that we have been nurturing from the day ones that we can speak whatever it is we learn very based on whatever we learn. But the AI is actually is organic. Whatever you put it over there, they will stamping module whatever it is based on whatever you given to them. So means it organic for AI and organic.
Very good, but we're gonna have a debate later on. Huh? We're gonna have present immediately after this something related to that.
Well, maybe I change my I go to the academics. So I think keep learning. AI keep evolving, technology keep evolving. Only you need to update your upskill yourself to keep relevant and using it ethically and make benefit for yourself. That is what my
Okay, remember what you say, send to me on WhatsApp, okay? I want to record down, I need to who you're responsible. Huh?
yes.
That's why you always leave the hardest for you. Huh? The best for last.
Yeah, but I think I have something very simple. I would say, AI is.
Oh, you like he's a optimistic
So
guy.
I'm an optimist, but
I'm not your friend. I mean, yeah, so-
You're also my friend. All of you are my friend. But I think we should not fear technology. Because it's like, I'm just relating to what I did 30 years ago when handphone came on board. And I refuse to use handphone because I feel it's a serious intrusion in my privacy. So I always use a public phone. I go back home to my office and then to dial until one day there's no more public phone. And I cannot just use another person's phone because the number I dial is all recorded. And that's when I took on my first 2G phone. But it was no turning back. After that, I had my smartphone, my BlackBerry, and today I'm looking forward to even consumer-based. It's my own.
Very good. Thank you. First of all, give me a hand of applause. We're going to go wrap up 5 minutes. Should we take the photo first or I do wrap up first? Is that easier? Okay. Why don't I wrap up? We come back and take photo. Is that okay? Can you flip my slide back? Can you hear me? Okay. I started my presentation. I don't know what is the outcome in between, but I'm willing to make a bet on what is the outcome. I'm trying to advocate something here. Every time I do an event, I want to have outcome. I started the title today based on what Dr. Aini has given me, but I hope we can achieve something called ASEAN Leadership in AI for Humanities. I look at ASEAN not just doing things for ourselves. Sometimes you care about other people, you make yourself better. Okay, so trust, talent, sovereignty with unity and wisdom. This is called Wisdom Council, right? This is my vision, right? This is how I'll share some information with you all, including the question, what is AI, what's going to be next? I share about this framework. I've been using this framework. This is how I think, because it's actually a proposal. I'm trying to use it to solve some problem. Today, with the collective intelligence of all our panel speakers, of course, Dr. Aini and some of you, we need to start formulating something for ASEAN as a framework to start moving, not waiting for government. As a CXOA, we can do it ourselves because we have a lot of freedom in government. So when we talk about agentic AI, 6 years ago, I've been thinking of the concept called autonomous enterprise, which is like driverless car, but driverless enterprise. Very logical, right? Very simple. As an educator, I tell people, there should be a very well-known framework for that. Basically, autonomous enterprise is an agentic process automation, a self-optimizing system. Very important, huh? self-optimizing system, reduce simple intervention, but doesn't mean that we don't have human in the loop, reduce and data-driven decision, right? So this is a autonomous enterprise. There are 5 impacts, the 5A. Acceleration, everything will be faster, even though Tae Kyung say that AI is part of it, but it's going to be faster, just so we cannot run faster than a car. It's going to be more amplified, the second A. It's going to be wider, faster. That's why the risk of agentic AI is very huge. Without control, you cannot take it back. Third is automation. All the processing you don't want to do, the task can be automated. The fifth is augmentation. Ria mentioned that, right? Augmentation is part of it. We use AI, ChatGPT to augment us. Of course, now with agentic, we're moving autonomies. We're bringing autonomous, the 5A, right? This is how I try to keep it simple for people to remember, right? The 5A of AI impact right now. But risk, Tae Kyung, he has a solution. I'm going to offer him my extra solution from my paper I read. We can work together to write a paper for ASEAN, right? So there are different levels. You know, autonomous driving, there are different levels. So there's L1, L2, L3, L4. There's actually for organizers, there's a method to actually go from operator, you as an operator, you're operating completely, there's a driver, to a collaborator, somebody collaborating with you, into a consultant that is, it runs, but he seeks consulting from you. Then as an approver, everything you do must approve by what he says, so that you can control the liability to fully autonomous. You're just observing this thing running. Hopefully it doesn't go chaos, but you must have the license, that's what you talk about. So different license can offer different things. There's really a framework for that. And this came from a research paper. Okay, user involvement and agents is a balancing act. Sorry, I was ahead of my time. So I want to wrap up one thing called AI for humanity. It's something I've been working on for the last 10 years. I'm very interested in ASEAN because ASEAN is in a very unique situation to do something. ASEAN to me is like a little mini United Nations. 11 countries with very different combination. If we can solve the problem of AI governance and many other things, or sovereignty AI, the world will be able to follow from us. Many other emerging countries or blocks like Africa, Latin America, Central Asia, Middle East, they can learn from us. And we need to show, we have a big responsibility right now, not just to make ourselves better, to show a good role model for the rest. This is how we nurture our children. So I asked the question earlier to all of you, what is AI? This is a quote from this gentleman who's been working on AI safety for many years. He's a person I quote for my book. By far, the greatest danger of AI is that people conclude too early they know what it is, they understand what it is. That is a very dangerous thing to think you know what it is. Because imagine, I've been in AI 40 years. The technology of AI 40 years ago is very different from today. They are still being used, but they keep changing. Why? Just like, do we know what is human? We're also learning about ourselves, right? We are building AI in our image, but we still do not know. Like, we're taking also there are things that we are so good at, but suddenly we develop something that understand consciousness, then we shift to a different technology. Still AI, but with consciousness. Consciousness about you know about what you're self-aware. United Nations report 2 years ago called Governing AI for Humanity says that no one currently understands all of AI's inner working enough to fully control its output and predict its evolution. No one on earth. Yeah, this is written by many experts. Some of them came from Singapore. Nobody really knows because it's evolving. Why? Because, back to the question of Professor Fahil, in my book I talk about, based on my a moment of epiphany in 1985, when I first took my first class in AI, I was programming in Lisp and Prolog. Anybody have done Lisp and Prolog? These are the AI languages. Oh, she did, see? This is a mono-iconic languages that can self-modify. So I came to the conclusion in 1985, AI is very different technology from all the technology we ever built because we are organic, you're right. It was designed by us to be digitally organic. That means it's designed by us to be always learning from human and the environment, always evolving. We'll learn and reason different from us. Based on algorithm, based on whatever. It may surprise us. It may or may not be within our control. Just like you have the children today, You bring them to a pub, they learn, meet some bad friends. You don't know what's going to happen. It depends what they learn, right? So you cannot anchor AI governance on today's AI because it will change tomorrow. Don't ask me, ask this gentleman. Who is he? Anybody know who is he? He's a sci-fi director who shot Avatar and Terminator, which is the doomsday for AI. And he's a very foresight person. Foresight thinking is very important, especially in venture building and policy making nowadays, or executive. He said that the fusion of AI and robotics is happening right now. Is one of the most thrilling technology of my lifetime. He's a sci-fi director, imagine. He said that we are no longer building machines that execute commands. We are designing systems that can learn, adapt, or even evolve on its own. This agentic AI is very powerful. It's evolving on its own. We are designing it to be. So anything evolve means that whatever it is today could be different tomorrow. That's why we cannot assume we know what it is, because it can be very dangerous tomorrow, even though we love it today. And Google DeepMind is working on a project called Alpha Evolve. What a coincidence. After 40 years, somebody is working on this project. And guess what? A few months ago, what does Anthropic say? When AI builds itself, how do you control things that build itself? Of course, it doesn't have the robotic, but it built itself. The algorithm keep building. And this is not written by me. This is what Anthropic talk about. When AI starts to build itself, the governance is going to be so complicated. I don't even know any paperwork can keep up. So Davos last 2 years has been like an AI conference. The Pope come and speak out with the paper. Yuval Harari talk at Davos, warning us about this. During award winner Yoshua Bengio talk about Save AI for Humanity, set up a non-profit. He's very prominent in the United Nations. Li Feifei talk about set up the human-centered AI at Stanford many years ago, almost the same time about me, 10 years ago. Geoffrey Hinton talk about digital intelligence replace biological intelligence. Dr. Aini talk about new species. You are speaking like the Nobel winner. Seriously, I'm not kidding. That's how he thinks. I'm not saying he's right, but I'm just saying there's a perspective. And then we talk about the intelligent crisis where there's economic impact where company will lay off people because they gain efficiency, but the people who lay off doesn't spend money anymore. So they don't spend, the company have no revenue, that everybody go into a spiral negative, affect the financial and the policy side. I do not know is it right and wrong, but just somebody has a point of view. And of course, Anthropic this year in April have a disagreement with the Department of War in the US, where he disagreed with Pete Hegseth about not allowing Anthropic technology to be used for civilian inside the US, but more importantly, not to use Anthropic Claude for autonomous weapon. And they have a major hoopla, even the president step in. And this to me, that is a very important moment of autonomous weapon, right? Because he felt that it's not ready, but some people in the military wants to use it because it can cause a lot of become out of control. So one more thing about cognitive, the more we use AI, the more we start to think like AI. If we are not careful with education, so talent side, be very careful. We must have metacognition or consciousness when you use AI now. You have to be very, especially your children, when they are not aware. So basically, nobody knows exactly what it's going to be. We don't want to be in a situation where people are looking at human as a history. Again, somebody say that. Okay. So one of the things we are advocating as action, I mean, I also hope ASEAN can do this, the United Nations SDG 18. Who knows what is SDG 18? It doesn't exist. There's only 1 to 17. I proposed it in my book 5 years ago. Every day I work on achieving that goal. So I went to the UN, I went to AI Impact Summit. I'm here to continue to advocate. That's one channel for which we can bring 8 billion people under one voice. And ASEAN is part of it. So the Secretary General of United Nations in September last year talked about build a future of AI by humanity, with humanity, for humanity. In fact, that is many years after I've written the book, and I'm so happy he's actually echoing that. So I want to keep pushing this together with you. He's actually have more things that he wrote out in his tweet, basically. Basically, if AI is to be too powerful, it must be governed, it must be trusted, it must be built to be accountable. But it's not like Teck Keong talking, right? Sounds like he's talking. AI to be global, it must be fair. If AI to serve the future, it must not be consuming the future. So these are very interesting wisdom statements. So we have been calling for SDG number 18. I went to many parts of the world, including Davos. Everywhere I speak probably 200 times on this one. And also of specific in nature. The three focus will be AI for sustainability itself of AI itself, so that we don't go into the winter, so that we are green. And of course, governing AI for humanity, which I don't even have the right to report. United Nations already wrote the report. But these are things we can go and do together. Thank you very much. I hope you all enjoyed the session today. Excuse me, Dr. Aini, you want to come up for the
Yeah, we'll do a photo together, right? All of us.
photo first? Speaker?
All the speakers.
Come, thank you.
Everybody okay? Big smile. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. One more. 3, 2, 1. Final give a thumbs up. Here, 1, 2, and 3. And one more video.
Oh yeah, I know that. This one. Yes. Oh, I like this. This is great. I love it.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, and 3.
For the video, just keep it like this. Just keep it like this.
Oh, I love this. This is the best suggestion.
Okay, everybody smile.
Cheers.
Okay.
Jared, good idea. Good idea. I love it. Thank you.
That's the first thing, yeah.
Dominant hand for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Please, please.
Yeah, of course. Every weekend. So, time ready now. No. Do we do it now or wait for the thing? Okay, we'll come back at 4:30. We have a short bio break. Yeah.
So okay, session okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope it.
I really hope that there are some good
Yeah.
What are you guys?
So if I could, let's say, I could Well, yeah, at the moment, yes, but we are making That's very scary. Your life, example, you are to be so alive. That's what they have. Of course, my thinking is that you will reach some people call it a sunrise only, where people doesn't go. And no, 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 where people doesn't go for money, but it's part of their yeah, yes, age of there's a lot of things. Yeah, I know. I also think that showing that the that's a problem. Because the one who control the resources that we have is really royalty. Yeah. So age abundant.
I discovered it just now. It's very good. I should have known about it.
I mean, we are doing the final. I have to summarize what the done, and then the one, and then take one to find the role. Yeah, I need to do that.
Masih tulis. We have been holding ourselves for the past few minutes.
So, our is different. No problem. Okay.
No, I'm here to support you. To support you the last event. Then after, company sayang me give me the sponsorship. Yeah, I'm boleh.
Give us like
So, since the launch is however you want to do it, like
Yeah.
just name it.
launching the platform, launching the
Yeah, correct.
launching the official communication.
All right, welcome back. Now for the main highlight of the day for AI and Robotics Wisdom Council, I'd like to invite Dr. Aini on stage.
Government leaders, member of ASEAN Expo, and also our beloved president, ASEAN Expo, and our, I can see the woman, you know, in what I call it, techno leadership as well. Okay, and all the ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I really appreciate your commitment to stay, even though after, almost 5 o'clock. Yeah, I really appreciate your commitment and your participation in this event. Okay, it's my honor and privilege to be the president of the AI Robotic and Wisdom Council for ASEAN Expo, and I would like to give you what we have discussed for the last 2 days. Yeah, because AI is very important, as I mentioned during the dinner. It's very popular, whether we like it or not. But we are the leaders. You are all here are the leaders. Yeah, the leaders you have been invited by the the top management and also the leaders to be part of this. I call it the history and the event of AI in ASEAN. So I'm so lucky that we got a good yesterday dinner mandate from His Excellency Secretary General. So he's giving us the direction for it and full commitment. And this morning also, I'm very happy and grateful to the President. So we have the Deputy Secretary General share with us what are the way forward for ASEAN, especially DIFA and also the AI. And also, I'm so happy with Singapore as well, the government of Singapore, Ministry of Digital, as well as Philippines, sharing lesson learned. Because all these years we need a direction. Because we cannot be, for AI, we have to come up with very direction, because that is our commitment. Yeah? So with that, let me put the scene setting. I will take about another 10 minutes to put the scene setting, what we have discussed this morning and yesterday as well, and then how we're going to connect this, the dot. Yeah? So this today gathering is far about just a conference, just a forum. That's what I can think of, yeah? So it's a gathering of ASEAN decision makers. We are the decision makers. Yeah, we are here. And a gather of business leaders. I believe most of you are the business leaders from the private as well. And we also have, definitely, we have the policy makers, because policy makers, we need the governments and we also need the governance. And most importantly, gather the people who have responsibility to decide what kind of AI future for the ASEAN. How are we going to build it together? Yeah, this is the most important thing while we are here. We ask ourselves why we are here, so we take the responsibility to decide where is the kind of AI future that we want to build to support our ASEAN association. Yeah, because we know ASEAN association is the state members and most of them are policy makers. So we are the key enablers to make sure that ASEAN can be moved forward. And we mentioned yesterday, if possible, not only ASEAN, we're also going to be one of the leaders for the world. Yeah, when it comes to AI. So because of that, I'm very I support with our powerful team. The team is constant, and the chairman also mentioned, and also His Excellency also mentioned that from 50 years, 30 years, 20 years now with AI, it's less than 6 months, 2 months. Okay, based on my experience, why I also would like to take this responsibility, because I'm also the chair for the UNESCO level. We look at governance and policy for STI policy for the Asia Pacific. And also my involvement at national level, also helping when we started in 2019, we developed the AI roadmap for
Malaysia. So I'm the policymaker. I'm being mandated by the government to head the governance of AI. Not only from the policy, the most important thing, the implementation. So what we're going to do today, because all the policy has been developed and also endorsed by the ASEAN Association or the state members. So we are bringing the policy into implementation. So that's why we are here. Yeah? We are the key enabler for that. So that's what we're talking about the change. You can see as far as AI move, based on my, we also have conducted the ASEAN AI readiness for all the country. I think 7 countries have do that, and a lot of input that we can gather together. So if you look at the move of AI, I'm focused on AI. Yeah? So when 2019, we have got more than 70 countries develop AI policy, AI strategy. And then less than, like Malaysia, less than a year when we implement, there is a generative AI. Same like ASEAN as well. So we developed from traditional AI guidelines and governance and ethics, less than 1 year, we developed the generative AI. And after that, we come out with agentic AI. And we're talking another change. We're talking about digital twin, robotics, and also talking about quantum. And last now, we're talking about autonomous mobility of reality. So you can see that, the change I'm talking about 50 years. So that one we're talking about. So now as a ASEAN, I'm talking about the AI and robotic wisdom. So I'm welcoming all of you to become our strategic partner to implement this AI robotic wisdom. We want the real question to us now, we ask ourselves, what ASEAN will, talking about, will our wisdom lead this transformation, or we simply adopt it? So this is our question, why we are here. And we are not talking about, are we going to lead the transformation? So based on that, we can see that we look at also, based on my engagement, every country has their roadmap on AI. Organization in the world also they have AI strategy. So, but what I can see through my observation and to my implementation, most organizations remain flat. At the end of the cycle of the policy, they have a lot of promises, but not been implemented efficiently. So this is our policy that never translates into practice. So this is what I think our role, we have to come out with demarcation. Because we don't want to duplicate on what ASEAN Association has done. So we want to become their enabler, their partners. So we have to become more on the implementation. So this demarcation is very clear. So we are not the ASEAN Association. We are the more on the implementation side to implement the policy of ASEAN. Because of that, we have to move beyond the policy. So we have to look at to build the system. So I can see here, we have a lot of business. They develop all the system. Yeah? We're looking into what are the best systems that work for AI. Yeah? We look into the system that work. We look at delivery. We look at the measurable. We look at the productivity. We look at, in fact, we're helping the government to improve the public service. And we look at how we're going to strengthen SME competitiveness. A system that create the trust. We discussed about the trust just now. So that is the last not least, we're talking about what we can do to have generate the real economic value. Yeah, yesterday and also this morning, we're talking about 2 trillion. How are we going to materialize that? So this is the mission of AI Robotic and Wisdom Council. Yeah? So we have to look at why I'm talking about this, because we need to build the AI Robotic Wisdom Council blueprint. Yeah? I've been what they call one of our term of reference for the wisdom by these president and board members. We have to come up with our ASEAN Robotic and Wisdom blueprint. I think I'm very happy with ASEAN is the world, one of the world's fastest growing digital economies. We're talking about digital economies, yeah? And more than 700 million. And we also have vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem. We have the rapid, we're talking about the ASEAN, yeah? And we also have growing investment. For example, like Malaysia, last year only we have received more than, last 2 years, when we want to implement the AI, we received more than 11 billion US, yeah, for the investment. So we can work to see that. So now what we have to do now, we are not looking at the size, we're not looking at the size of the market. What we're looking now is to work as one region. We're not looking at Malaysia size, we're not looking at opportunity for us. And now we're looking at the one region, that is ASEAN. Yeah. So because of that, I would like to also touch also on the important element, how we can successfully AI adoption, that is the trust. So whoever joined, this is the thing that as a policymaker, I've been in the policy for the last 30 years for the government and also at the international level as well. But most of the stakeholders, they always come back to me as policymaker. Why I'm not being involved? Why I'm not being engaged? But when we send invitation, you can see the crowd. Where is the crowd? We're giving a lot of opportunity. We send a lot of invitation, but the feedback from the stakeholders is a little bit poor then. So we try to improve that. So because of that, we want to trust ASEAN become a greatest competitive advantage. So trust is our competitive advantage. And so I put it that way because intelligence alone does not create prosperity. Do you agree with me? Yeah, this is our wisdom. Yeah. So trust does what we will do. Business investment regulation are predictable. That's why we need the government. Government have the policy, so we can do the predictable. Citizens, our nation, adopt technology that they trust. So they will adopt AI when they trust AI. Government collaborate when we have the strategy, when we have the standard aligned to the ASEAN Master Plan. We have the ASEAN Master Plan 2030, and investor commit capital when the government is clear. So that's why they use it whether we want to govern AI. But if we do not govern the AI, you think the investor income to put their money to invest, so they need the governance as well. Therefore, that means trust is therefore no longer an ethical aspiration. I believe trust becoming an economic asset. Yeah? So that's why I'm looking into that. And one thing I would like to look also the harmonization. All the while we look at from fragmentation, because these are the input we listened this morning from our lesson learned from Philippines, lesson learned from, they're talking about implementation, even though at government level. So I put everything inside here because one of the ASEAN greatest strength is our diversity. Yeah? But our diversity shouldn't be fragmentation. Yeah. So we have different governance approach, we have different standards, we have different compliance, we have different business. So because of that, we hope that because once we have harmonization, I believe we can increase the cost. We can be more efficient. I like the one from Philippines talking about efficiency. Yeah, we're looking at efficiency and we're talking about the complacent. When everybody is complacent, happy to use the AI, then they have efficient on that. So now what I would like to look into AI must have the shared prosperity, our wisdom. Yeah, we're talking about what is our vision beyond the technology. Yeah? So we're looking into the beyond technology. So not only AI should improve the healthcare, manufacturing, and then we also look at the empower SME. And that's our vision. Modernize the logistics, and then increase productivity. These are all the input I gather from what we have discussed, the speaker have discussed. And we're also talking about the improved education, especially from the professor from our university. And we're also talking about sustainability, protect environment, enhance public service, create better jobs, and also support entrepreneurship. So last not least, we hope that our wisdom also can increase investment. So that we plan for that. So definitely, if you agree with me, we're going to, this wisdom, we're going to support the ASEAN FIFA that we've been discussed this morning because they want to unlock up to 2 trillion in digital economy by 2020. So we will support that. Yeah? And last not least, when we're talking about responsible AI, yeah, so our ambition also cannot look into the technology. It requires trusted governance, responsible AI, digital infrastructure, secure ecosystem. We're talking about interoperability as well. How we can interoperability is very important when talking about ASEAN. It's very crucial. Skill, talent, innovation, and also we're talking about most important thing is collaboration. Collaboration, and benefit to all the nations of ASEAN, ASEAN community. So with that, I would like to call ASEAN synergy. Yeah? So whereby our government provides the leadership when talking about the ecosystem, government provide the leadership, so we have all the clear, and then investor will help the growth. University will develop the talent and also the training provider as well. Research, we have greater innovation. Industry create the value, and we want the civil society will build the public confidence. Public confidence is very important. So that's where our calling for the regional synergy. So the last one, the one that I would like to highlight, this is very important from what we are today, from a dialogue, how we're going to deliver. We're doing from the dialogue we are deliver. So we hope that with this wisdom, we're going to produce practical commitment. We hope that when we have new partnership, like today, last 2 days, I have so many partners. I have so many industry partners. I hope from the partnership, we develop the new investment. From that, we have the ASEAN initiative, and then we also have the new collaboration. And last not least, we look into the policy cooperation. So this is what we look into that. So can we, the secretary, please help me? With that, we will come out with the declaration. So for this purpose, for this gathering, we have 10 minutes. We'll look at the, yeah. So we're going to develop the declaration because we have to go for a change. From the dialogue, we go for the delivery. So whatever we discussed the last 2 days, we're going to put to the declaration. We'll come out with the what are our shared commitment, and then what are our action plan. This one is very important, so that whoever going to be part of this wisdom, we can see what is the action plan, what we need to contribute. So hopefully for the next year or 6 months or 1 year, we can see where are we. Yeah. So that's where we need, and then we also need the resources. Through the resources, we can implement all this. So with this declaration, together we will submit it to the president and also the board members to endorse and to get the support. So let us look at the commitment. Sorry about that, it's too small. Can you look into that? So this commitment is a proposal level, yeah? And I need all your input, yeah? We have the secretary to take all the input and we will modify it and we will send back to all those are interested to contribute to this declaration to get your endorsement before we submit to the president and also the board members for their support. Yeah? So our commitment, the first one, sorry my dear, the first one, okay. Based on that one, we look at promote AI entrepreneurship. Yeah, because based on the speakers and also from the ASEAN, we have thousands, millions of entrepreneurship in ASEAN. So one of it, we look at the promote AI entrepreneurship. That's our commitment from all the wisdom members, investment and commercialization. We're going to have to accelerate the AI startup. So that's where we need everybody to be part of it. And then we're going to act as a regional and international investment to strengthen the SME. Yeah? So this is our commitment. If we agree, we have to, after we agree, of course, we have to deliver. Yeah, we have to together. The second one, we're talking about to strengthen AI governance, because this now through our session, there is our moderator also asked whether we need the governance. Yeah, so we're going to look at the strengthen AI governance, regulation. Of course, in our committee, we are not looking into regulation. Regulation is part of the government, but we are giving the input to the government. What are the appropriate regulation that the industry and the sector need to be addressed? And we'll also look at capacity. So everybody is talking about institution capacity. We will look into the risk-based, what we call it, management for the future. So the third one, we look at the advanced ethical humanity, because we address the humanity very at length, and also looking at human-centric and inclusivity. So just now we discussed, yeah, ASEAN have the project on language, yes, but how about in terms of other than like business, we're talking about the cloud, we're talking about the technology, the hardcore. Are we willing to share? Yeah? So at the moment we have good case study, we share the language. Now we're talking about other to include it. So when we're talking about inclusivity, we're talking about the ASEAN community. The fourth one, we're looking at strengthen trusted and data governance, data sharing. Data sharing is very important. That is our commitment as well. Because when we're talking about data sharing, we're talking about sharing the interoperability, cybersecurity, privacy, protection, responsible, the cross-border data. Yeah, so because I know some of you are not attending our discussion this morning, this is what we have been discussed at length, so you can have. So we have 7 commitments that we do. Develop AI talent leadership. Yesterday also we discussed AI leadership. AI leadership is very crucial, and we also discussed about future workforce through AI literacy. AI literacy through our input from AI readiness for ASEAN. In fact, the grassroots and also some people in the business as well as the SME, they have lack of AI literacy. So we look at the AI literacy as well, and not only AI literacy, we're also looking at technology, tech ambassador. Because emerging technology, we need the tech ambassador or the tech champion to support us. And we look at strengthen innovation and also collaboration. Last not least, promote AI for human well-being and sustainable development. Why we look into this? The last one, because whatever we do, we support the SDG. SDG, they're talking about AI from 193 countries. They mentioned AI very important. Make sure our AI is safe. There is no harm to the people, no harm to the environment, and no harm to the planet. So we have to look at these 3. So that's where we have to look at the human well-being and sustainable development. So that is our, shared commitments, the proposed, but we will share with you this document, this declaration, and before we submit to the president. So you go back and we have all your contact number, and then we will give you to share your view, sufficient time, and then provide us your input before we finalize it. So last, this is what we shared. So this is the action plan. Yeah, so action plan, usually the best action plan if we have the resources. So when we have the resources, we know what, when we have the measurable. But for this discussion, I just put what are the action first without the resources. That's why we have to discuss with the president and the board members, what are the resources we need. But at the moment, we just put what are the actions that we want. So we will look at first, we look at the ASEAN Trusted Framework. So we have to start with the framework. In fact, we discussed about the framework just now. We have to look at what are the appropriate framework. And the second action plan, AI Governance Maturity Framework. So we want to support, because based on our average, when we prepare the AI, responsible AI master plan for 2030, most of the country, our ASEAN country, only 2 or 3, they are still at the awareness. But most of us, like Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, we are at the implementation. And we also have members like Singapore, they are quite advanced. So with that one, we need the maturity framework for us to move forward. And then we look at the ASEAN AI leadership workforce. And then strengthen our AI leadership is very crucial. That's why we have the board and the C-suite. How we look at because in AI, we want the leader to make decisions. So that once the leader make decision, we can mitigate the risk. Because in AI, we're talking about AI risk, unacceptable risk. So we hope when the AI leaders, whoever, either they are in organization, they are in the government, or they are in the NGO, they understand what is AI. So we know our leadership is comprised from all those stakeholders. Even though association, also we need the leaders for the association as well. And we're also looking at AI, ASEAN entrepreneurship and investment. This one is very important. Maybe one, before we go for the big investment, I'm calling all the members to become the members of AI Robotic Wisdom. So you can register to our wisdom, become the members. So we can see your commitment to become the membership with our AI Robotic. From that, we can, working closely together, we look at the bigger investment for the AI. So the action plan, ASEAN, because yesterday I had the opportunity to attend Women in Tech, and then we're talking about ASEAN AI for her. We want to come up, what is ASEAN for her, for the woman. So Women Tech is one, but for AI, we come up with ASEAN for her. And we also come up with the AI Innovation Network, ASEAN AI Network. Through my engagement, I'm also the Vice President for the Asia Pacific on STI policy, 55 country members through the UNESCO. So we have, 3 trust area. We're looking at the governance policy, and all the members, they are policymakers appointed by their government to be these the members. So I was going to link this, our wisdom, to the policymaker from Asia Pacific as well. Last but not least, we look into ASEAN AI robotics annual progress report, because I can see through the policymaker, most importantly, the stakeholders, the nation behind that, they don't know. Government have done a lot, ASEAN have done a lot, but it's been communicated to the people. Is it communicated to the nation? So I think with this annual report, or maybe quarterly report, or maybe we have this one we would like to launch with the president endorsement. So we consider this session is a launching of AI robotic wisdom platform need to make it official. So this will be our platform, official platform for us to communicate. So with that, that is our action plan for the next 12 years, why 12 months. Why is very important. So once we have the resources, we have commitment from you all. So hopefully by next month, or maybe next year when we have this event as well, annual event, so we will proudly, everybody here, we are the leaders, we share what is our initiative and what we have delivered to the ASEAN community. So that is my conclusion for this declaration. In fact, I have prepared all the declaration, our shared commitment. This is the document. So it's like a white paper, based on my policy, white paper, and we have the action agenda. We also have the declaration, and then later on, I will adopt it on the 8th of July at Hilton, Singapore, because this will be our evidence. Because in AI, we have to be transparent. So this will be our evidence and transparency of our collaboration. With that, I hand over to the President. We really hope that the President can endorse our commitment, endorse the way forward, and also not to, this is our proposal. So I really need a feedback from the President, and also we have our founder and the board members here. You're welcome to give the input. Hand over to the President.
Doctor, I need your job not done.
Yeah, I don't mind as long as I get a full support from the President.
Okay, first and foremost, can I have the lights up? Yeah, so I can see some faces. See who is still awake. Before I feed you with some more food. Although no more food but wine. Okay, on a serious note, I truly wanted to acknowledge Dr. Aini. I steal her actually from Thailand. When I first met her was in the United Nations AI Ethics. PSI was also there. Just too bad Dr. Hamam, who is another AI expert, just couldn't join us for this session. These are all good friends and they have tons of good knowledge. And for them to actually step forward and willing to contribute to AXA is really, I have to say, they have a heart for the transformation of ASEAN. So, Dr. Aini, I want to say for whatever that you have read out and shared the whole entire day of effort, it is very much treasured and valued. Can I give you a hug? Without her, I really cannot advocate or talk about AI. And because of her, she has also brought on her network of AI experts. So this actually leads to the conversation of what makes a community totally different is when the people are willing to come forward and give. Not even talking about take anything yet, but they are recognized in many, many ways. So truly, thank you so much. And for the
Can I say something?
yes.
Yeah, I believe with President, nothing can happen. One person can happen. Yeah, nothing happens. So I need, so I need all of you. Yeah. So one person, individual, nothing happens. Yeah. So first of all, the President, and I have to acknowledge my EXCO members, the strategic partners. So we have EXCO, this is officially been appointed, but I'm coming. We are going, President going to appoint a few more because we have 11 EXCO members representing ASEAN. So now officially we have from Singapore, Prof. James, thank you very much. So one, we have the launching yesterday. So the president will officially send the invitation. And also Yusri from Malaysia. And also Tisa from Cambodia. And we also have Thailand, we have appointed Thailand. We are coming out with Brunei and Indonesia as well. So the rest of the country, we will waiting approval from the president. So welcome everybody to be our strategic partner for AI, robotics, and wisdom. Thank you.
For Thailand, Kun Chaijalan and Pikong is actually the gentleman from NECTEC, Ajahn Saran. He used to run NECTEC as the NECTEC president, but he's very, very, very active right now, contributing in the LinkedIn on very, very interesting on how he uses AI to study the different quality of soil, helping the farmers to produce better quality of agriculture. And of course, he also study other things. So he's a quantum physics guy, very techy research. So Dr. Aini have him on as one of her right-hand men, which is going to be very exciting. Nonetheless, Dr. Aini, thank you so much for the whole entire day and all the hard work that you all have put in to contribute to her findings. And with her, you cannot walk away without action plan. With the action plan, she's gonna nail everything down by timeline. So, like, she has also invited all of you to be her EXCO member in ASEAN CSO in Aksoa. When you become a member, you can choose the different wisdom council that you're interested in. Maximum, I think you can choose 3, but you'll be only attached to 1. So the main one, the primary, and then the other 2 are secondary. Okay? I don't want to hold you all too long. The wine is already waiting outside, so have lots of fun.
Thank you, Dr. Aini. Thank you, Ong Sing. So it's a good wrap up for today's session on AI robotics. So without further ado, I'd like to have everyone to proceed outside and join the rest of the day, and then looking forward to the networking. Thank you so much for your support.
I'm very scared. No lah, I will help you if I know. Another round.
The phone number. 019. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Thank you. We will develop initiative to be so because we plan to have an appendix. Once you share, you create an appendix. So that
Go next door, we'll look back. Let's see.
Okay, so we are looking forward to that.
Join the line, if not line, join the group meeting, join, no booking, join the day will come up. Yeah. So they will come up. Yeah.